Let's begin with some latest news coming in from the Supreme Court of India. What seems to be a temporary settlement of sorts, the Supreme Court has provided some kind of relief, you can say, to EPS OPS camp as to how they can decide the candidate for the upcoming bypolls. The top court has temporarily settled the tussle over the Erode bypolls between the EPS and OPS faction. The top court says that the party candidates selected by General Counsel of the AIADMK will be fielded in the bypolls. And for the limited purpose, OPS faction's expulsion, that stands cancelled. The top court says that for this limited purpose, the OPS faction will have its vote in the General Council meeting, which will be called in to select the candidate for the bypolls. The Presidium Chairperson of the AIADMK will float a resolution where both the factions and the camp would exercise their vote by circulation. Ananya with us on the broadcast. Ananya, first the details of the order and how does this temporary order does or does not affect the overall fight between these two factions?
Well, the overall fight between the two factions does not get affected into this whole process because the Supreme Court, in its order in the later stages, already clarified that since the matter is already reserved for judgment, that for that particular reason, the Supreme Court is not going into the clear merits of this case and is only making an interim arrangement with this particular order that we are discussing today. The Supreme Court goes on to say that this is only an interim arrangement, that too just for the deciding of the candidates for this Erode bypolls that is going to be there. Now, what is this the whole process by which the Erode bypoll candidate would be announced and would be selected by the party? Because the whole and sole contention that was being given out by both of the sides was that if at all and in fact it was the contention of the court as well, that if at all two contestants are fielded by both of these factions, the EPS and OPS faction, then who will the ECI accept and whether the symbol of that particular political party be frozen or not, which is not frozen at this particular point of time. So the Supreme Court made an interim arrangement saying that the party candidate selected by the General Council, which would also include for this limited purpose the OPS faction and the members belonging to the OPS faction, would be able to vote in this particular case, and the particular candidate who is fielded by the whole General Council, supported by the OPS faction as well, would be fielded for the Erode bypolls on behalf of the All India Dravida Muntaridha Kasam alias the AIADMK. So definitely this is not going to affect the whole tussle that is going on before the Supreme Court of India. Number one, because the judgment in that case is already reserved, and the Supreme Court too has clarified in its today's order that this would not affect the previous case that is going to happen, because it is not entered into the merits of this case. Now, what were the arguments that were being referred to by both the sides? The EPS side has continuously been saying that they have the numbers and in fact their candidate should be fielded, while the OPS faction coming out and said that it has no objection to the EPS candidate, but it wants that the Form A that goes for the candidature should have the sign of both of these persons, the EPS and OPS. However, the EPS faction had a strong view saying that if at all this is done, then there would be a symbol dispute that would be arising in that particular situation. So the court came out with this interim arrangement, and then the court has said that the General Council would be deciding and the OPS faction would too have its vote in that particular case.
So the vote of the OPS faction for the limited purposes will be counted in the General Council meeting. I want to cut across to my colleague Purnima as well, who will translate this for us politically and what does it mean. Purnima, your thoughts on the order of the Supreme Court, and more importantly, how will this really translate as far as deciding the candidate for the crucial bypolls is concerned?
Well, it's an interim relief for O. Pannirselvam because at least for this particular General Council meeting, with regard to the East Erode bypoll, OPS and his loyalists who were in fact removed by the EPS faction on behalf of the AIADMK, that stands cancelled. So they have the right to vote. Remember, both factions had fielded respective candidates. The one by EPS, in fact, is a two-time veteran MLA, and the one fielded by O. Pannirselvam is a new and is new into politics. And right now, via circulation, they can initiate the General Council meeting, and they have the right to vote. O. Pannirselvam and his loyalists, with regards to this particular General Council meeting, they have the right to vote and they can participate in the General Council meeting. So interim relief of sorts for O. Pannirselvam, but the main case that's still pending before the Supreme Court, we have to wait for that, because that is crucial to decide if the General Council meeting appointing Erode Palanisamy as the interim General Secretary, whether that will be null and void, or whether or whether it will be a relief for EPS. That main judgment is still pending, but at the moment it's an interim relief for O Pannirselvam, who is allowed the right to vote and choose a candidate for the East Erode bypoll.
Purnima, the right to vote for the OPS faction and the fact that now a candidate from the AIADMK will be decided jointly by both the sides. BJP indeed was in a wait and watch mode. They had also said that they're not going to field their candidate from this particular constituency. What are the chances that both sides can be on the same, table, or they can come to a conclusion or consensus when it comes to deciding a candidate for the Erode bypoll is concerned? Do you see a confrontation at the General Council meeting as well?
Well, we could expect some fireworks at the General Council meeting, because the last time when O Pannirselvam got an interim relief through a Madras High Court order, he was not welcome. We saw, in fact, slogans raised against O Pannirselvam and his loyalists when they tried to enter the venue of the General Council meeting. We could expect some fireworks, because here ADMK under dual leadership had differences of opinion. One has one preference over the other, and that's why we saw how Edappadi Palaniswamy had tried to garner support of more than 90% of the party cadres. So this time we could expect some fireworks as well, because not all is well as far as the relationship between EPS and OPS is concerned, and there will be slogans raised against O Pannirselvam, because as per Edappadi's camp, O Pannirselvam is not a part of the party, and BJP also is trying to ensure that they stay united. But Edappadi is key that there should only be one leader for the ADMK, and that should be Edappadi Palaniswamy.
All right, Purnima Murli and Ananya Bhatnagar getting us all the details from the politics of Tamil Nadu to what has happened in the Supreme Court, the ramifications of it legally and politically. We'll continue to